Well, good morning and welcome to Morning Gospel Fuel with Mr. G. It is Monday, March 16th, the feast day of Saint John de Brebeuf, a martyr and patron saint of Canada. And today's gospel is from Luke chapter 4, verses 24 through 30. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. And he said, Amen, I say to you, no prophet is accepted in his own native place. Indeed, I tell you, there were many widows in Israel in the days of Elijah, when the sky was closed for 3.5 years, and a severe famine spread over the entire land. It was to none of these that Elijah was sent, but only to a widow in Zarephath, in the land of Sidon. Again, there were many lepers in Israel during the time of Elisha the prophet, yet none of them were cleansed, but only Naaman the Syrian. End quote. When the people in the synagogue heard this, they were all filled with fury. They rose up, drove him out of the town, and led him to the brow of the hill on which their town had been built, to hurl him down a mountain headlong. But he passed through the midst of them and went away. Alrighty. So we've got, I feel like a very fitting gospel this morning. So Jesus is in Galilee, and he's just finishing up talking to his own people in Nazareth, and he's just talking about how people in your hometown haven't accepted him. He just finished that story, and now he's continuing the conversation, and he's talking about in the Old Testament with Elijah, the prophet Elijah, and how not everyone was saved, because during that time there was a severe famine, right? And then there was also the sky was closed for 3.5 years. So both of those, so complete darkness and a complete famine for 3.5 years. That is a long time. I think we've had the coronavirus for like a month. I think we're doing fine. But so Jesus goes back to the Old Testament. This story is in the book, the second book of Kings, in chapter 5. And I find it very interesting, again, how often Old and New Testament merge together to kind of come to fulfillment. But Jesus tells them this story about how during this famine and this cloud of darkness, how not everybody was saved, besides only Naaman the Syrian, which is considered an enemy of the Gentiles and the Jews. So Jesus healed, or even in the Old Testament in Israel, they healed the enemy, which is what Jesus does. He heals everybody, and he's there to save everybody. He doesn't single anybody out. But even then, the prophet Elijah, through the power of God, they would not turn to them to receive miracles because they refused to listen to him and believe, and that was too much for them to hear back then and even now. Even whenever Jesus is talking, that's why I said end quote, because I was confused on when Jesus was done speaking, that they were mad. They were mad that Jesus wasn't going to heal all of them. And I feel like there's a lot of fear and hatred and blame going on right now to God because, things seemingly get worse. I don't know. But that is something that's, I feel like, very fitting this morning. So they didn't get what they want, and so they complained right away rather than praying it. They complained so much and got so angry that they were going to hurl Jesus down a mountain to kill him whenever they found out that he wasn't going to save every single one of us through our own fault. Right? We're choosing not to save ourselves, or they are, through their lack of faith. So that's the problem. How can we expect to be saved if we don't even want to save ourselves through the faith? Because God works through faith. So anyway, let's just go straight to the challenge because my thoughts are kind of scatterbrained right now. I don't even know what's going on. Maybe I got the virus. But the challenge is, if life in the world isn't going your way, what do you do and how do you respond? Do you blame God or do you claim God? That's the question. Amen. Have a great Monday, everybody. Stay safe. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.